Hi, hello everybody. So, the day 1 raid has come and gone, and now that the average light level of the player base is going to be increasing, it is now going to be a lot more viable for most people to be running and clearing the raid. The event period is still active, so it will be best for you all to know the proper characters and strategies in order to have the highest chances of being able to clear within the challenge period. I'm going to be breaking down each encounter of the raid, the characters that you would want to bring to those encounters, as well as the reasons why you'd want to bring said characters. So, starting out with the first encounter of the raid. Now, for the characters that you're going to want to bring into the first encounter, Wolf is going to be a top choice for the first encounter of the raid. And that's for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, you are going to be facing off against Blast Shinkas, and currently Wolf is the best unit at dealing with Blast Shinkas, as he has the Sati Elixir Smart Bomb Grenade Launcher, which is able to constantly generate ammo by utilizing its catalyst, which you can get for free by doing the Devil's Shadow quest. And if you are able to load into the raid, you will have the Devil's Shadow quest in your quest tab. So complete that and you will gain access to slot in the catalyst, increasing its power by a large portion, as well as granting you super grenades. Now, to load super grenades, you are going to want to hold the reload button while your super is charged. It will consume 50% of your super and generate 5 of those super grenades, and it will not cost any reserves, so you can feel free to use those super grenades liberally. So long as you are generating your super, you will have more super grenades available when you expend them. Next up, you will have access to the Sworn Oath auto rifle, and this will allow Wolf to deal with solar shields without using his abilities. Now, an important note about Wolf: in order to get the most damage out of him on strong targets such as the Shinkas, you are going to want his weapon mastery leveled up. Alright, and in order to activate the weapon mastery and get the damage bonus from it, you are going to have to debuff enemies by hitting them with the Wolf's Flame. Doing so will not only give them the corrupt debuff, making them take more damage and also preventing them from healing, but it will also activate the Wolf's Combustion, increasing the damage of all of your weapon shots on it, including the Sati Elixir Smart Bomb Grenade Launcher shots. So that will greatly increase your damage against strong targets. Beyond that, you are able to get Overshield from Wolf Strike and also his Inherit by using either of his enhanced abilities, which can be used quite well for sustain. Now, for his super, you are not going to want to use his super. You are going to want to always load super grenades. The only reason why you'd ever want to use your super is if you are about to die, you do not have Wolf Strike, and you do not have an enhanced ability, meaning that you would not be able to gain Overshield. And activating Wolf's Flames will instantly give you your enhanced abilities back, allowing you to do an enhanced Wolf Strike, and then giving you full Overshield, and allowing you to escape with the increased speed. As for artifacts on Wolf, the Bellicose Plantesimal, this is a very good artifact. You can use this on every single character you'd want to bring into the raid. This is not an endgame recommendation. However, since we are so early into this game, having one artifact that you can use on multiple units will be very useful. Beyond that, there is the Inverted Fury. And since you will be able to get Overshield from a lot of his ability casts, you will be able to have very high uptime on this, especially if you have a Yolder on your team. And then I like the Pranayama artifact as well, because it will increase your natural health recovery. So if you use his abilities that grant him Overshield while you are low, it will speed up his health regeneration. And I like this one because it's a very easy to activate damage resistance, and you will almost always be jumping around unless you are peeking out from cover, as jumping around can allow you to be more evasive around enemies and get better shots with your grenade launcher. Beyond that, the only other characters that you would really want to bring or consider bringing for the first encounter are Gwyn and Yolder, and to a lesser extent, Xuan Wei. Now, the reason why you'd want to bring Gwyn, Yolder, and also Xuan Wei is because there are going to be impact Shinkas in this encounter. Additionally, there are going to be void shields as well, and that's why I recommend Gwyn and Yolder a lot more than Xuan Wei. Now, an important note about impact Shinkas is that they will constantly damage you if you are in that shield. So you are going to want to break that shield fast. That means using your shotgun shots or having some kind of sustain help from the outside, like bringing a 10-2 if that is needed. Gwyn and Yolder also both have self-sustain, Gwyn with her souls and Yolder with her rage inherent ability. And Gwyn also has really good burst damage, so after you break down that Shinka shield, you will be able to do a high-powered Void Dance, presuming you have the souls for it. And her weapon mastery can also allow you to damage the shields faster if you use an ability before teleporting in. So leveling that up will also help you as well. For Gwyn and Yolder, you're going to want to use very similar artifacts. Like I said, the Bellicose Plantesimal is a very good general use artifact. It will work for basically every single unit that you will take into this raid. Now, since they use impact weapons, the Jolted Transit can work very, very well because it is a high damage increase and will help you take out the Shinka shields faster. The Inverted Guard is a very good general use artifact. For anybody, it will grant you shield when your health falls below 17%, and this increases as you rank up the artifacts in the future. And that will also combo with the Pranayama artifact as well, granting you increased recovery. So this will grant you some faster health regeneration if you are able to duck into cover with your shield still active. When it comes to weapons for Gwyn, I highly suggest you bring the Concerto Sidearm if you are able to obtain it. If you do not have that, then the Choshingura will also work. And the DEL6 Corteski can also be considered if you are running her in the first or third encounter, because that will allow her to break solar shields. However, if you have the Concerto, you would always use the Concerto unless you were able to obtain the Octan's Right Dispenser. However, since this is a raid drop, I presume you would not have this weapon. However, if you do, it is extremely good. You should run it. As for the shotgun, this will pretty much be your only option, or your only good option. You'll be using this against the Shinka shields and also for some burst damage. Some perks to look out for would be Line Formation and Karmic Reward. However, Conjugation is also a good option, and Wound Counter is also still usable. Eager Aspirant and Dual Loader are very middling. However, a mythic perk will always be better than a legendary perk due to the power increases. Now, when it comes to strategy in this first encounter, at the very beginning, you are going to want to designate players to be the first, second, and third teams. The first team will be the people or person who will be going up to the other side of the bridge first. The second team will be the two people who will be going up in the second wave, and I do recommend that you send at least 3 people up in the first and second waves, and 4 if you can manage it. The third team will be remaining at the bottom until the final bridge is put up. However, on the third wave, their job will be a lot easier. When you first walk up to the encounter, you are going to be met with a wide open area with scattered pieces of debris for cover. You're usually going to want to split into 2 teams, 3 people on the left side and 3 people on the right side. When it comes to people to bring into the raid, you can balance it out having 3 wolves and 3 Gwyns or Yolders, or you can run 2 wolves and 4 Gwyns/Yolders. Now, you're going to start out by clearing the enemies on the left and right sides, and that is going to be your primary goal for this encounter, is just managing the enemy spawns. So long as you are able to clean out the enemies as they're spawning in and they do not pile up, you will get through this very, very easily. So bursting down those Shinkas right off the start will help you a lot. They will respawn in the second wave, but will not respawn in the third wave. While you are clearing the waves of enemies, special captains will spawn, and when killed, they will drop a key. At least one person will have to pick up a key in order to progress through the encounter. So after the first team collects their keys, a servitor will spawn. And once you defeat this servitor that is standing above the plates, they will activate. Now the third team will always be the people standing on the plates, and they will remain on them for as long as they can manage. Wolves and Yolders will do very well in this role because they have easy to access self-sustain, unlike Gwyn, who will require defeats and attacking enemies in order to do so. When both plates have a person standing on them and activate, the bridge will start going up. The first team, after picking up the keys, will then be able to pass through the gate on the bridge and go all the way up. Now, when you reach, or there will be enemies attacking you, and a large room. Upon entering the room, you will either go to the left or the right side, and one of the people with the keys will go up to the shield, and there will be a void shield on there. Now this is why I recommended bringing up at least one void character. However, if you are a wolf, you will be able to debuff them and unload super grenades and brute force the shield break. After the Vandal is defeated, it will drop a Scorch Cannon, and you will rotate over to the center area of the room, and you will blast the breaker that is marked. There will be an objective marker on it, so you will know which one to shoot. After shooting that, the timer for the first phase will end, and there will be a short period before the second phase starts. Use this time period to clear out as many enemies as you can, and the first team who went up, you can hang out on the outside of the room if the enemies inside are too much for the two of you to deal with. Now, you are going to do the same thing for the second wave. However, as you are standing on the plates for the second wave, heavy shanks will start spawning. The heavy shanks on the lower side will have void shields. So wolves will have to use their super grenades and debuff in order to brute force the shield, and Yolders and Gwins will have to use void weapons or abilities in order to break it. These shanks will hurt a lot, so you will want to take them out as quickly as possible before they start damaging you. But you will largely be doing the exact same thing as the first wave. So after the second team makes their way all the way up, the third team can get off of the platforms, as they don't have to keep the bridge up the entire time, and they can hide out in the middle area of the room, as the enemies will only stick to the sides. And the next key bearers will run into the middle as well. So after the second team shoots the Scorch Cannon at the next breaker, the third and final wave will be starting, and all the people who are on the other side of the bridge are going to want to start cleaning out the enemies that spawn at the two plates outside of the room. Two more doors will open on the inside. However, you can also exit the door from the center and rotate over to the sides before the doors open. Now, a large group of enemies will spawn on the inside and move outside through the door. There will be a mini boss captain with a void shield, and there will be smaller major enemies as well. The guard servitors will also spawn above the plate shortly after that, so cleaning out the enemies quickly will work out very well for you. Additionally, heavy shanks that will be spawning and attacking the people on the plates as they are standing on them to bring Team 3 up will be solar shields, so you will want to have weapons and characters for that. Team 3, on the lower side, your job is to survive. There will be 2 small servitors and 2 key-bearing captains that you will have to defeat in order to get the keys. The servitors are not necessary, however, they will protect the captains. Once you two have the keys and the bridge starts going up, you can cross the bridge, and then you will have to go over to the left or right side of the room across the bridge in order to defeat the Vandal and grab the Scorch Cannon to end off the entire encounter. A nice thing to know is that the shield does not actually prevent the Vandals from taking damage. So if you know somebody's coming very shortly, you can defeat the Vandal early and leaving the Scorch Cannon available to pick up, and a good call out to make would be which side to go to in order to pick up that easy to collect Scorch Cannon, which can save some time. Now, once the final breaker has been destroyed, more mini-bosses and blast shinkas will start flooding the room. You must clear all of the major enemies in order to clear the encounter. Wolves, again, you can use your debuffs. Now, you will want to wait until the Shinka shield is broken before you activate your ability, because that can prevent the damage increase from going through. Now, that is all for the first encounter. The second encounter is a little bit simpler in some ways and a little bit more complex in others. Now, the second encounter, the characters that you are going to want to bring in are, again, Wolf, Gwyn, Yolder. However, if somebody has a built Ningfei, that you can consider bringing in Ningfei as well. You are going to be facing off against Blast Shinkas and Rapid Fire Shinkas, so you are going to want to have multiple wolves for this mission. Now, teams are going to be split up into 2. You are going to want to have a Team A side and a Team B side. You're going to want to have at least 1 wolf on both teams, and you are going to want to have multiple characters with rapid fire weapons, so Yolder can work very well in this encounter over Gwyn. You're going to be facing off against Arc Shields and Void Shields. So Wolf can still take care of the Arc Shields because of his grenade launcher, and Yolder can take care of the Void Shields with her abilities and weapons. Now, to start out, you will walk into a room and you will be met with a large monitor and several smaller monitors with buttons in front of them. You are going to want to look at the symbol on the large monitor. There will be an outer section and an inner section. you're going to want to find a monitor that has the exact same outer section and a monitor that has the exact same inner section. And you are going to activate both of them in order to progress further. Your character will be instantly killed, so be sure to activate the correct ones. This will then allow you to pick up 2 fuses. These fuses will create a bubble of immunity that will disable the electric fields that you will have to walk through. So, the people not carrying the fuse will want to stay around the people carrying the fuse as they move forward, and the person carrying the fuse can wait or go slower in order to make sure that the people around them do not get left behind. The electric fields will also instantly kill any player that walks through to them, so be sure to not do that without the fuse. Now, upon exiting or upon walking through the electricity field, you will then be met with some shanks, which you can ignore. You can walk straight off the cliff down to the main elevator room. You will want to either jump or use the fuse slam in order to break the fall. Otherwise, you will take hefty fall damage, and the large swarm of ads at the very bottom will be able to finish you off very quickly. The people with the fuses will follow the objective marker to insert them into the elevator and start the encounter. The people not carrying fuses, especially the wolves, you will want to debuff that huge wave of enemies and then start shooting your super grenades. It will very easily clear that entire wave. Shortly after, enemies will start spawning and both portals will activate. Both teams will have to designate one person to enter in order to solo that room and complete the mechanics within. So it might be a good idea to put some of your stronger players on that task. However, you will want to keep multiple people with rapid fire weapons and good AoE outside in order to deal with the large amount of enemies and the rapid fire shinkas that will spawn. The people inside, you will have to defeat a servitor in order to activate the monitors, as well as some less powerful ads that can be cleaned up very easily. The large monitor will turn on once the servitor is defeated, and you will have to do the same thing that you did at the start. You match the outer symbol with one of the smaller monitors and the inner symbol with another one of the smaller monitors. Doing so in both control rooms will then activate the monitors on the outside, which then the 2 people for both A side and B side will then have to look at the monitor and then match the symbols while also still clearing the ads. So AoE and ad control is very important for this encounter. Once that is completed, both teams will then teleport into the control room with the first player, and then they will have to defeat more ads as well as a Scorch Vandal. Now, you will only need to defeat one of the Scorch Vandals if you are able to break all of the fuses with one Scorch Cannon. A Scorch Cannon only has 4 shots, so if you miss a shot, you will have to use the next Scorch Cannon. There is a second Scorch Vandal, however you can ignore it if you do not have the damage to defeat it. Upon blowing up all of the breakers, the fuse will then be unlocked and the door will open. If you do not see the door open on one side, it will be open on the other. So if you think it's taking a while for it to open, turn around and look. Shanks will flood out of the door that opens, so using a charged Sati Elixir grenade launcher shot or any other kind of AoE will be able to clean them up very quickly. Now, the 2 other players who are not carrying the fuse will want to stay as close to the fuse carrier as possible while moving through the gates. You will always wait for the person holding the fuse in order to pass through the gate and make it clear for you before moving forward. The fuse carrier will move slower than you, so you will have to exercise patience. Being impatient and rushing ahead can lead to your demise. You will also have to manage clearing out small waves of ads and also breaking overseers when walking through the rooms. Upon walking through several gates, you will be met with a larger room that will have a blast Shinka spawning. This is why you will want to have at least one wolf on both teams. They will be able to break the blast Shinka shield and then you will be able to burst it down. Scorch Vandals will then spawn on both sides. You will almost definitely be able to destroy the breakers with only one Scorch Cannon. So you will want to focus your efforts on defeating one of them in order to save on time. After defeating the Scorch Vandal, you will want to shoot the 2 breakers that are holding up the shield. Upon doing so, the next doorway will be electrified. So you will wait for the fuse bearer to walk through with it before passing through. And fuse bearers, make sure that all of your teammates go through before entering the teleporter, because if you enter that teleporter, they will be stuck in that room until you come for them later, which can disrupt the next wave. So you don't have to worry about that. Upon entering the teleporter, you will then be met at the base of the room. People not carrying the fuse, there will be a lot of ads spawning. So you will want to use your Sati Elixir grenade launcher or other AoE abilities and weapons in order to clean them out as quickly as possible. Remember, wolves, use your debuffs first. Upon sticking the fuses into the elevator, the next phase will then start shortly after. It will largely be the exact same with some minor changes in enemy density and difficulty. So perform it all again and you will be completed with the menace above. Now the third and final encounter will be the most challenging, due to you not only having to deal with difficult mini-bosses, shinkas, and ads, but also the constant oppressive force of Isakis. The characters that you will want to bring in are Wolf if you need his damage in order to nuke shinkas after their shield is broken. I recommend bringing 1, maybe 2 if it's needed. You will want multiple Gwins and Yolders, at least 2. And you will want at the very least 1 Tantu, preferably 2, as they will be able to deal the most damage to the bosses. As for weapons on Tantu, you will want to use the Total Lockdown Scout Rifle. This is the best scout rifle in the game, and if you have one with Allocation Vector, use it. This is the best perk in the game for Tantu's primary weapon. You can use the DEL3 Lassie if you have no other options. It does have access to Syncopation, which can be useful, but it won't be as consistent as Allocation Vector. It will also be another Void weapon, so you can also use it to help break Void shields. As for your sniper, you're going to want to use either Mythic Sniper. The Sidereal Year will be generally better if you have good perks on it. If you have better perks on the Magochi, you will want to use the Magochi instead because it will give you more damage. However, the Sidereal Year will be more consistent, so if it's about equal, use this one instead. Or if you're looking to farm for one, go for this sniper because this scout rifle will also be in the same loot pool. You may also have acquired either weapon earlier in the raid from previous encounter completion rewards. As for artifacts, I just recommend using a lot of the same general use artifacts. You may have better ones than I do, and you may have ones that may be more useful for healing. This is a very easy to use artifact for Tantu. Shots fired while stationary will be granted extra accuracy and precision damage. This will be good for DPS, and you can use it for the ad clear sections if you are positioned well enough to where you can stand still. Again, the Bellicose Pentesimal is a very good general use artifact. None of these artifact recommendations are for endgame builds. I'm recommending these because they are usable on multiple characters, and we still are very limited with our resources, so having artifacts that you can share is good. Beyond that, when it comes to Tantu's weapon mastery, you will be able to activate Phosphorus if you cast an enhanced ability. So when you are building up towards damage, you will want to have at least one enhanced ability charge or both. You will charge up the enhanced ability for the mode that you are on faster than the one that you aren't on. And since you do not have access to the level 4 weapon mastery, you may have to reactivate Phosphorus midway through the damage phase, which would require you to mode switch to the other mode, preferably while you are shooting. And then you can use the enhanced ability cast as a reload cancel if you are able to do that. However, if you are not comfortable with that, do not fumble over yourself and potentially ruin your damage phase or trying to form a technique like that. Now, going into the mechanics and strategy for the encounter, you are going to want to designate 2 people to be the mechanics readers. One person will enter on the right side and the other person will enter on the left side after the impact Shinka on either side is defeated. For the right side, you can send pretty much anybody in. However, I do not recommend sending a Gwyn or Yolder in on the right side for the strategy later. Upon entering the room, your team will drop down and Isakis will activate. Strategy to complete this encounter will start out by your team rotating over to the right side and using cover. Enemies will spawn on both sides, including 2 wretches and a major captain that has a void shield. So Gwyns and Yolders, you should be the ones focusing those down. When it comes to the Tantus, you are going to want to be focused up on the right platform. A precision Shinka will spawn and you all will want to be firing at it with your scout rifles. I recommend saving your sniper rifles as much as possible for the DPS phase. When you are shooting the Shinka, it will spawn seeker missiles that will fly out towards anybody. it will usually track towards the person who is shooting at them. However, if the person who is shooting at them gets behind cover, they may start targeting other people. So everybody be aware and do not be out in the open while the precision Shinkas are still up. I recommend clearing the right side Shinka first, and then looking over and clearing the left side Shinka next. If you are Wolf, you want to stock your super grenades and wait for the Shinka shield to break. Once the Shinka shield breaks, debuff it and unload all of your super grenades on it, using a finisher on it if necessary. If you do not have a Wolf, Gwins and Yolders and Tantus, the full team, you can shoot at the Shinka until it drops, and especially make sure to use a finisher if it's low and you've been damaging it for a while before the shield pops back up. Also, it is important to mention that if you do not have a precision weapon, please do not attack the Shinkas unless you have significantly outleveled the activity. Attacking the Shinkas without a precision weapon will cause even more Seeking Missiles to spawn and can damage your team more than necessary, potentially leading to deaths. Once the first Shinka on the right is defeated, your team will then move your attention towards the left Shinka and do the exact same thing, focusing it down. Around this time, Isakis will then start jumping over to the left side. Do not be in the large plate that Isakis will jump on while he is moving towards it, otherwise you will be crushed and you will be instantly killed. Now, as soon as this phase starts, Isakis will be slamming the ground and pushing out waves of energy. You will have to either be standing on higher ground, such as one of the raised platforms that the Shinkas were on before, or one of the boxes. However, I recommend the platform primarily because it has some cover behind it, and also has a good view of all of the enemies that will be spawning. If you are not on either of those platforms, you will have to jump over them. And I will specify that this is only for the first phase. The second phase, the waves will be taller, and you will have to jump over them always. There will be enemies coming out to Isakis' top left, one of them being a sniper shank. It is only a red bar, so it goes down quickly. However, it will damage your team if you ignore it. Additionally, servitors with void shields will spawn, and vandals with solar shields will spawn. Tantus, you can use your fireballs in order to help break the shields, as well as your solar weapons. Yolders and Gwins, you can also help take care of the void shields. You will want to defeat the servitors first and quickly because they will protect the enemies that are out and coming out. After a short bit, a timer will then appear and Scorch Vandals will then spawn. You will need to defeat both Scorch Vandals. They are mini bosses as well. They have void shields, so bursting them down quickly with a void dance or any other high burst of void damage can help. However, you have 40 seconds in order to beat this phase. I'm not saying that being slow is a good thing and that is nothing to worry about. However, if you're at 20 seconds left and the Vandal is mostly dead, you do not have to panic and use a super in order to defeat them. Each Scorch Vandal will drop a Scorch Cannon with one singular shot. You will aim it at one of the breakers, and once both breakers have been destroyed, the phase will end. Once both breakers have been destroyed, Isakis will then hop over to the other side of the arena, and the exact same thing will happen, except it will be mirrored. So perform the exact same actions and take out the same targets, and you will be done with this first phase of Isakis. Moving on from there, your team will want to stay grouped up on the right side, and you will want to be standing up on the platform and looking at the teleporter plate. Some enemies will start spawning around the room, including some major captains with void shields and some major vandals with solar shields. Also, some shanks will spawn, including some sniper shanks that will spawn above the raised platforms before and will be shooting at people from their snipers' nests. Having a Tantu or a wolf take them out instantly as soon as they spawn will do your team wonders. Shortly after the first wave of ads spawn, including the sniper shanks, there will be a Shinka spawning on both teleporter plates. It will be an impact Shinka, so your Yolders and your Gwins will want to coordinate in order to defeat the impact Shinka quickly, taking down its shield. And if you have a wolf, you will then want to have him burst down the Shinka using his super grenades. But if he doesn't have enough super grenades, or if you don't have a wolf, your entire team can then burst down the Shinka. Again, it will be better to spend power ammo if you do not have enough damage to defeat it or before its shield comes up. However, the more power ammo you save, the more you will have for DPS. So keep that in mind. Now, this is very important to mention. Do not be standing on the plate while you defeat the Shinka. If you are on the plate when the Shinka drops, the plate will then activate, instantly teleporting you into the control room, separating you from your allies, which would be especially bad if you are not one of the people who was designated to do mechanics. Now, the first person who is doing mechanics, which I personally recommend to send a Tan2 in, however, a Wolf would also be good to send in as well, will linger on that other side. They will be mostly helping clear ads. However, if you need the extra damage for the Shinka on the left side, they will then rotate with you as well. However, it may be more advantageous for them to stay on that side if you do have the damage to take care of the Shinkas normally. Remember, this entire phase is on a timer, so if you do not defeat the Shinkas in time, it will start progressing towards the next stage of the fight. If you break down both Shinkas in a short amount of time, or even slightly before you defeat the second Shinka, Overseers will start spawning on the high part of the wall in the back of the room. So you will want to have at least one person looking up there, or you want to look up there very quickly as soon as they spawn. 2 will spawn at first, and then a few seconds later, 3 will spawn. You will want to defeat those as quickly as possible, otherwise your entire team could very easily be wiped out by the Overseers. After the Overseers are dead, then both people doing mechanics will enter the room. A servitor will then spawn. This servitor has a large health bar, so you'll want to use super grenades if you are a Wolf, your void dance if you are a Gwyn, or other high damaging options like Tantu's fireball. When the servitor is defeated, the monitor will then activate. It will show a glowing part on the walker's body. You want to then press your ping button. On PC, it is middle click. However, you will want to know the ping button or what the ping button is beforehand. Upon clicking the ping button, it will show a wheel of one of 3 options. You will want to match what is on the screen to what is on the wheel. It will then activate a portion of the UI for the entire team, telling them which piece to shoot. And this is very, very important to everybody. Pay attention to the picture and not what is on the text. The text is from the boss's perspective. So just look at the picture and match where it is on the boss to avoid as much confusion as possible. This is why you want to use the ping as well, so you can activate it and avoid any confusion. The team outside of the mechanics room, while they are taking care of the servitors, large waves of ads will be spawning, including some mini boss brigadiers. Okay, you are going to want to defeat as many of the ads as possible before damage starts. And this is important to mention. You have a long time in this phase. You have 45 seconds in this phase. So you can use your time in order to defeat as many ads as possible in order to set yourself up for success in the future. Once both callouts have been correctly made, you will then want to shoot the body parts. They will take a while, so do not delay until the final seconds to shoot them down. Failure to shoot the correct parts will cause a wipe. After correctly shooting the 2 body parts on the spider walker, DPS will then start shortly after. If there are still ads up, it will be a good idea to place a healing well or a bubble on top of the damage well that is initially put down. Tan2s, remember that when you activate your super, it will activate the healing well or the damage well depending on which mode you are on. So you will want to be on the correct mode depending on what you are trying to do. When the timer runs down, the DPS phase will begin starting. However, this is very important. Before you cast any abilities on the boss, in order to give yourself either the buffs or debuff the boss if you are a Wolf, you will want to wait until the faceplate fully opens up. If it is halfway open, like you just see the crack, if you use your ability on it, it will get eaten up by the faceplate. So be sure and wait until it is fully open. Afterwards, you will start your DPS rotations against the boss. Tan2s, make sure to activate your enhanced abilities to apply phosphorus. Wolves, apply your debuff, or Yolders, you will have your damage buff stacked up beforehand, and Gwyns, you will do your normal combo, and activating any ability will normally give you those damage increases regardless. You will want to be doing as much damage as possible, so be liberal with your power ammo usage. However, if you are a Yolder or a Gwyn, you may want to have some saves in order to burst down some Shinkas in the future. Tan2s will largely be the ones carrying the most DPS. So upon ending the damage phase, you will then want to immediately focus down any ads that may be remaining on the field as quickly as possible, as the phase 2 of the boss fight will begin if you have not one-phased the boss. It is largely the same. However, there are a couple of differences, or there are a couple of things that could possibly cause you some issues. Reason number one, if you have left any ads from prior to the damage phase and you were not able to clear them out before Shinka starts spawning again, you will largely have some trouble. This is one of the main reasons why a ton of teams struggled in day one, because they either didn't have enough damage to one phase, or they didn't have enough ad clear in order to properly transition to a reset. Isakis will then quickly begin moving over to the left side of the arena again, so be sure to break the precision Shinkas as quickly as possible. Speed is key here in transitioning towards a second phase of this boss. Now, this will largely be the exact same as the first phase. However, this is extremely important to note. The wave will be higher this time, so you will have to jump even if you are on higher ground. So if you are able to defeat both Shinkas and all the ads in a good enough time frame, you will largely be good in clearing this all over again, going all the way through damage, doing the same rotations all the way through damage until you're able to defeat the boss. Now, this is very important to note. You will only get 2 phases. If you are not able to defeat Isakis in 2 phases, he will wipe you. So you will have to have enough damage in order to at least 2-phase the boss. This will get easier as time goes on, especially as people get more exotics, especially DPS exotics like Izanagi's Burden. So keep that in mind for the future. That is all for this raid guide on Isakis. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're enjoying my guides and coverage of Destiny Rising, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, as there will be more coming in the future. If there is anything that you think I missed, I would absolutely love to hear about your raid experiences in the comments below, and also if you believe I missed anything, please let me know as well. I'm very keen on being as informative as possible. Also, if you're watching this guide on release, I will be running raid carries for the Monolith's fall event all the way through its period. If you catch me on stream for the next few days, I will be running raid carries from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. every single day this week. So if you aren't having luck with your own teams, be sure and drop by. The queue will be in my Discord server, so be sure to join that if you want to have the best chances of getting your carries. I hope you all have the best of luck with your clears, and as always, thank you for watching.